kind of telling young boys like, hey, don't lean into your masculinity unless this woman wants you to. Because if you do it when she doesn't want you to, it's considered toxic or anything like that. But if you do it when she does want you to, now all of a sudden you're a good man. And we kind of see that in the example of Will Smith and Jada. What it really just means is like, okay, what I only have one brain and I know how I like to perceive things, but I'm thinking about how this person might perceive things, which really doesn't happen a lot in dating. And you hear Rollo Tomasi talk about this a lot with a female solipsism. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Find Your Formula Reacts. And today we're going to be reacting to another whole math video. This video here is called Levels Level 1, I believe, or Levels Number 1, the introduction. Now, if you've paid any attention to this channel, you know that whole math videos are one of the things that I like to react to the most. He really breaks things down into he takes very complex topics and situations and things like that, makes it very easy to understand and connect with. So without any further ado, let's get into the video.
The answers are all right here if you have the time to read them. Why is everyone losing their minds? Where do all these new ideologies come from? Why don't men and women get along anymore? Why has everyone lost track of right and wrong? This is a map of consciousness. It's a map of your mind. It explains why people see things differently. Don't worry, I'll make it simple. Consciousness grows in predictable levels. Many researchers have studied this. And the biggest reason everything is so weird right now is that we built a world at a high level of thinking, and we are no longer growing to meet it.
Mhm.
What are levels of thinking? These are levels of psychological development. I use them to explain why people are the way they are. When you are born, you start at the lowest, simplest level.
Right.
Every newborn baby cares about nothing but its own needs and feelings. As you grow and learn, you start putting things together. Level 2 is when you find out that other people have their own needs and feelings and you can connect with them. Level 3 is when you realize that you live in a big world full of people who are connected to each other and you can
Before he really starts to break this down and go into it, I want to say like when you travel and you go and you see how other people live and how other people live their life and how different countries have different rules or whatever, it exponentially increases your level of consciousness. I believe it's I think it's called neuroplasticity, where it just changes how your brain reacts to things chemically. And I remember the first time I left the country and just seeing like how different people live their life in different ways. I was like, oh, like these people feel this way because of what their government is telling them. The same way why I feel how I feel based off of what my government is telling me. So these levels of consciousness, although they can come from like watching his videos, reading books and stuff like that, most of the time, at least from my experience, they come from life experiences. They come from going out, doing things, having a story to tell, and then you learn from it. But he's right. I just wanted to kind of throw that in there to kind of talk about how some of these different levels can actually occur, how you can reach the next level.
manipulate those connections for your own goals, and it just gets more own needs and feelings, and you can connect with them. Level 3 is when you realize that you live in a big world full of people who are connected to each other, and you can manipulate those connections for your own goals, and
Mm.
it just gets more and more complex. Everyone goes through the levels at a different speed, and everyone stops at a different place. The way that each person grows through the levels depends on a bunch of different factors, just like how a plant needs sunlight and air and water and soil. It's not just one thing.
Mm.
In places that have all the right ingredients, the average level is about 4 or 5, with about 15% at level 6, but the average in the world is level 3 to level 4. And when you find out what that means, it can be kind of shocking. Understanding is easier when you have help. That's why this introduction to levels is brought to you by Integral Life, the sponsor of this video. Integral Life promotes integral awareness. They offer a high level perspective on everything from health to meditation to success. Integral Life will introduce you to the integral approach, the stages of development, and countless applications of the integral framework. I studied integral theory myself. It's a big part of why I'm good at explaining things. Studying integral theory can actually make you move through the levels quicker, and Integral Life can introduce you to all the best ways to do that. Integral Life offers courses, a community, and lots of tasty visuals. I know you guys like those. Integral Life invites you to sign up for a free 24-day email course to build your integral mind. You'll get introduced to the philosophy by a team of teachers connected to Ken Wilber, the creator of the integral framework. Sign up here or click the link in the comments. It'll help everything fall into place. This is my new levels chart. It's much easier to read than the old one. It has 9 rows for the 9 levels that we know about so far, and the columns here tell you what the levels are like. Over here, it shows different ways to divide the levels up. You can divide them any way you want. You can do 100, you can do 2, you can go high and low. And I'll go into these in later videos. There are more than this. This is just to give you a sense of it. I used really simple language, no more of this stuff. I copied that from somewhere. Nobody knows what it means. This is what the level does, and this is what it wants. Levels 4 and 5 are the most popular ones in our culture. You should recognize them. People at level 4, the way that they think about life is they conform and they follow rules in order to belong to a way of life and fit in. And when that way of life get
You know, I find this very interesting where it says right here, with conform, you submit. And the reason why I want to kind of bring this up to attention is because in this space, we often talk about how women say that they don't want to submit to a man, but nobody submits more in life than a man does. You know, you conform to your job as a man, you obey the rules and you follow the rules and you behave a certain way and you submit to this corporation in order to provide for your family. And you do that every single day. And not only do you do it to provide for your family, you do it to provide for yourself as well. But what ends up happening is that's the rat race. Level 4 to me, how I understand it, is the rat race. You know, way of life, approval, unity, fitting in, just another cog in the machine, essentially. Everything's gray in your life at level 4 because you're not taking any chances. You're not betting on yourself. You're not betting to say, like, hey, this is something that I can do on my own. I don't need a 9 to 5 in order to make things work. I can do this off my own muscle, off my own strength, off my own intellect and knowledge. You know what I mean? So level 4, he said that's the average. And when I first kind of heard that, I was like, man, that's sad. You know, that most people just aim to fit in, but that's why it's the average, is because most people really just aim to be like everybody else. You don't have to aim to be like everybody else because there's only one you. So why not put all your effort and energy into being the best version of you that you can be? No one else is going to do it. No one else can do it. Only you can bring out your maximum potential. And what better way to live life than to do that? What's better than becoming your best? Nothing. So it's interesting that he talks about that, and that how you see life and how you live life directly plays into your level of consciousness, because how your level of consciousness constructs your reality. So if you're like, oh yeah, there's no way I could ever be a millionaire, you're right. But if you're also like, yeah, I'm going to be my family's first millionaire, no one can tell me any differently, you're also right. But your level of consciousness um, shapes how you look at reality, shapes how you interact with the world, and how you interact with the world is through your will, and through touch and all the 5 senses or whatever. But I just kind of found that interesting. I'm connecting the dots here as we go, and if you guys have anything that you feel like I missed, you can drop it down in the comments below.
it's suffocating, when it's too constricting, then in order to belong to a way of life and fit in. And when that way of life gets suffocating, when it's too constricting, then they start to try to improve, develop, advance, become something greater, accumulate something for themselves so they can achieve success and live a certain lifestyle, their own lifestyle that they want. You should recognize these two levels being really popular in the West. If you go to like a dense city area, people will still be mostly at levels 4 and 5, but there's going to be a higher percentage at 3 and 6. When I explain what they are, you'll probably recognize those two. I'm eventually going to make a
Hold on, I
packet.
want
You
to go
go
back
to
real
like a
quick
dense
here.
city area, people will still be mostly at levels 4.
So for level 3, it says others are connected all around me to serve each other's needs, to control those connected, to gain power. That's level 3. And then level 4 kind of goes into, it says people compete for power. What rules can we agree to follow to prevent power struggles and create a way of life with unity? And then level 5 is different ways of life work for different people. I can't live my own way if all I do is obey and submit. How do I build a lifestyle that gives me fulfillment? The level 6 is success is meaningless if we can't be genuine. How do we include, embrace, and affirm what we all value so everyone feels understood? Oh, that's interesting. What's level 7? Let me see if I can read it here. Values do not always go together. Where can we include them that coordinate their needs so that they work together in harmony? It's very interesting. I find that very interesting because level 6 kind of sounds like the whole reason why cancel culture happened by saying, like, no, you can't say that, everybody's valid, blah, blah, blah. That's what level 6 sounds like to me. And level 7 kind of sounds like, well, although everything should work in harmony, there's some things that operate so heavily into chaos that it goes against the order of harmony. Because when things are in harmony, there's a structure to it, there's a pattern to it. There's elegance within that pattern. There's beauty and fluidity in the structure, which is what makes it harmonic. It's not that it's all over the place, but it's not that it's so strict and rigid that there's no room for creative expression, like in a societal standpoint, let's say. So for level 7, I kind of think that might be where I'm at. Because I think, like, yes, everyone should have a say, but I don't think everyone's say should be respected the same way, because there's some things that some people do is absolutely reprehensible. You should still be able to say it and maybe even do it to some degree, depending on who is it harming and stuff like that. But you shouldn't expect other people to live like that, nor should you come into power because your way of life is actually hedonistic or bad for society. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Let's see. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna let it play for a whole minute, maybe even two, without pausing it, because I have so many thoughts going on in my head. I want to see if I'm in the ballpark with this or if I'm just way off. So we're gonna get into it here.
5, but there's going to be a higher percentage at 3 and 6. When I explain what they are, you'll probably recognize those two. I'm eventually going to make a packet that's going to have like 20 of these charts. There's going to be a ton of them, but you can buy this one now at the link, and I'm going to post it for free for all of my YouTube and Patreon members in about a week.
Nice. Go pick that
Most of
up.
the videos I make are about dating and relationships, and those are a lot easier if you understand how people think, which is my specialty.
Mm,
Levels are a part of this map. I created this graphic, but it's just my interpretation of the all-quadrant, all-level map, or integral theory created by Ken Wilber. They call it a map of everything, and it kind of is. It's hard to explain, but if you can perceive anything, if you can know about something, you can put it on this map. So let's say you have a dream about Saturn, then you would talk about the upper left quadrant because that's inside of your individual mind. But if
mm,
you saw Saturn through a telescope, that would be the upper right quadrant because that's the thing you see in the world. So
mm,
the map breaks up your mind into all the different ways it looks at things.
mm.
So it's a map of everything because it's a map of everything you can know about. And if you can't know about it, how is it a thing? So the map is really complicated, but for right now, forget about everything but levels. This is the most fun part anyway. Colorful. Understanding levels is important because people think that everyone thinks the same way that they think, and that's not true and it
Yeah, it's not
causes
true at all.
problems. I draw this a lot. Here's one that everybody knows about. Here's a girl having strong feelings, so her subconscious is putting her emotions into her conscious mind, and she's looking at this guy like, if I'm feeling this, he must know that I'm feeling it. But
Mm,
there isn't any way to do that because she hasn't told him.
mm,
Here's a girl with family trauma looking at a guy who's normal and saying that having no red flags is a red flag because she thinks everyone has trauma and he's hiding it. Here's one with a girl who has something drilled into her head, like something like man bad. Like all the girls turn on TikTok and it goes man bad, man bad, man bad, and it becomes their reality.
mm,
So she has a belief that's been drilled into her head. And this guy says four things. And one of them looks kind of like the one that's already in her head. So she sees half of it and changes the color slightly and says, "Oh, I knew it. All men are the same. Why do you all always the
Yeah,
thing I already believed?" Even
right.
though he didn't say that. So this is just how the mind works at a lower level. This one up here is a girl having a higher level thought for the first time. Dad is telling her uh, to be careful of men because he knows how men are because he used to be one. And so for the first time, she is thinking about her dad's thinking about these guys thinking. She
Hmm.
has a thought about her father's thought about the thoughts of men.
Young men,
So
yeah.
she's moving up to a high level for
Yeah,
the first
she's
time.
she's thinking about thinking, which that sounds kind of confusing, but what it really just means is like, okay, what I only have one brain, and I know how I like to perceive things, but I'm thinking about how this person might perceive things, which really doesn't happen a lot in dating. And you hear Rollo Tomasi talk about this a lot with a female solipsism, where they're like, well, everyone should just feel the same way that I feel, and if you don't, then you're wrong. That's a very simplistic way of breaking it down. Very simplistic way of breaking it down. But that's essentially what it is. Typically, if you tell a person, hey, you're great, you're kind, you're smart, you're beautiful, everything you do is right, your crap doesn't stink, you can't do any wrong, you're a 10, all the things that women like to say to each other, it makes it very difficult for you to want to think about what other people are thinking, because the only thing that you think is that, well, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm kind, you should want to be great, wonderful, and kind, so why don't you think more like me? And I think that's one of the things that happens right now in dating and in society in general. We constantly tell young boys like, you need to essentially be more like girls. The future is female. A lot of these things that you've seen out in the media for the last 10, 20 years, certainly as long as I've been alive, kind of telling young boys like, hey, don't lean into your masculinity unless this woman wants you to, because if you do it when she doesn't want you to, it's considered toxic or anything like that. But if you do it when she does want you to, now all of a sudden you're a good man. And we kind of see that in the example of Will Smith and Jada, when Chris Rock was making jokes about Jada's lack of hair, he went up and slapped him. And at first it was received as like, yeah, at least from what I saw, I was like, yeah, Will, stand up for your woman. And then Jada got on, like, did like an interview or something like that, and was like, yeah, I didn't need him to do that. And then it was like, oh, Will, you need to control your emotions more. But it's like that was only received like that because she didn't want him to do that. But if she would have wanted him to do that and then he didn't do that, then it would have been like, you didn't stand up for me. So yeah, this is exactly what happens when people don't think about what other people are thinking. They live a very selfish life. Men can do it too, certainly, where they're like, yeah, I don't care about how she feels, I'm just here for the guts. And then women end up getting smashed and pat that. It's the old saying of like, hurt people, or the dating pool has pee in it. He's kind of taking these sayings and then peeling it a layer back and say, okay, but why does a dating pool have pee in it? Why do hurt people? What does this hurt person think about in life? What caused them to hurt? These questions are the types of questions that can really help you understand not only dating on the outside, but how you interact in the dating market on the inside as well. So it's very helpful.
So basically, the lower your level of thinking, the less you can see other ways of thinking. Let
Mm.
me show you what I mean. If you are a human, you probably think that dog unpleasantness is a bad thing. You probably would not want to touch this. You probably don't like it that it's on the sidewalk. This is bad for you. There's nothing good about it. But if you are a fly, then you just hit the jackpot. They use this as food and they lay eggs in it and they probably feel great about this situation. So this is not.
What's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. I think that's what he's about to get into. What's normal for the spider, creating a web, trapping insects, eating, feeding off of it, that's just Tuesday for the spider. But being a fly, getting trapped in a web, getting eaten alive, becoming food, that's chaos. It's the end of your life. So I think that's what he's talking about here. And it's put beautifully as well, based off of how he's breaking this down. But I want to let him get more into it. I know I'm pausing a lot, but I just had to say that what's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. What's normal for a toxic person is harmful and toxic to a healthy person.
Too hard to understand. Use this as food and they lay eggs in it and they probably feel great about this situation. So, this is not too hard to understand. I bet that nobody watching this video is struggling with this concept that this would be good for a fly who would enjoy it and bad for a human who wouldn't. But most people struggle every day to understand that other people can see the same thing differently. A really good example of this is cheating and the whole my past doesn't matter thing. If a girl ever says my past doesn't matter to you, that's coming from a low level of thinking because
Mm,
you can't tell me what matters to
to
me
me, right?
any more than you could tell a fly like, "Hey, that's disgusting. That's bad for you." The fly has a different agenda. When a
Mm,
man and a woman are together, when they're pair bonded in a relationship, the man is going to be much more upset if there is physical cheating, because this could happen. He's spending all of his time and money on her, but he doesn't get the benefit. And not only that, somebody else does.
hmm
But women are a lot more forgiving of just physical cheating. In fact, sometimes if you have a lot of girls, they like you even more. What
hmm
women hate is when the guy she's with is giving out his investment
Resources,
to
yeah.
other women because that means she gets less of it.
Mm.
Investment is things like
Good guy stuff,
money and
yeah.
time
Good
and
guy score.
support and emotional bonding and so on. And people fight about this every day all over the world. The men say physical cheating is worse, and the women say emotional cheating is worse. And you're just trying to tell a fly this is bad for you. It
Mm,
doesn't make any sense. It's different from you. It's not going to feel how you want it to. And again, I bet that nobody watching this video struggled with the fly has different needs from the human. But if nobody struggled with the woman has different needs from the man, I
hmm
wouldn't have a career. It's going great, by
right.
the way. Thank you. And the higher your level of
Yeah,
thinking,
not only that. I mean, I think that is it kind of goes into this is a direct result of what happens when you tell men and women that they're exactly the same. It's saying like, well, if he cheats, it's just as bad if you cheat, but the mechanism for cheating may be different. The same way how we say men and women are equal, but we have different advantages, we have different disadvantages, we have different things that kill us faster. We have all of these issues surrounding our existence based off of our gender. We can't be the same. We can't be. And that's okay. Those differences don't really need to be highlighted in order to have a good society, but they do need to be respected and understood and accepted. But when you blur the lines and say, well, everyone's the same, everybody's the same, everyone does the same thing, while still simultaneously giving different people different rules based off of how you perceive them, um, it ruins the whole thing. Yeah, it ruins the whole facade of equality because it's like, well, if we're equal, how come you slept with this person on the first date, but you're making me wait 4 dates in if we're supposed to be equal? And it's like the old saying goes, all is fair in love and war, because in love, it's not a fair game. You know what I'm saying? You might have some chicks that disqualify you based off your height, and if you're a woman, you might have some dudes disqualify you because of your weight or your race or whatever the case may be. And that's all under the guides of it's fair because it's love. This person is going to love you, so it's fair for them to have a certain level of discrimination when it comes to who they're going to have kids with and blah, blah, blah. And we know this to be true because whenever a woman has multiple baby daddies or a baby daddy who doesn't take care of the kids, what do we like to say? Well, she picked him. So we understand that there's a certain level of accountability that goes with the person that you pick, aka all is fair in love and war. If you pick a bad partner, you now have to deal with a bad partner. But if you pick a good partner, and for how women's mechanism of doing that, I actually agree with, which is hypergamy, that's what pushes the human race to be better, is women being picky. I do think maybe it's gone a little bit overboard here in the West, but that natural order of wanting the best, I think if more men did that as well, it would be good. However, I understand that that doesn't happen because, as he stated, men and women are different. You need different things. As a man, you need different things from your woman than that woman needs from you. You're not getting with her for resources. essentially most times, 9 times out of 10, right? You're getting with her for different reasons, for her fertility, things of that nature. Whereas a woman, she's not necessarily getting with you for your fertility or uh things of that nature. She's getting with you for resources, and then it builds from there. So yeah, we're different, and those differences should be understood, accepted, and respected, as opposed to trying to blur the lines and say that we're all the same. Because then you have flies essentially telling humans that, hey, this crap is amazing. You definitely need to try this. And the humans are like, no, why would I do that? It's actually bad for you. That stuff comes out once I'm done with it. Why would you enjoy that? Because again, what's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly.
Fly has different needs from the human, but if nobody struggled with the woman has different needs from the man, I wouldn't have a career. It's going great, by the way, thank you. And the higher your level of thinking, the more you understand that people perceive differently. But even more than that, studying psychological development itself can show you how these misunderstandings happen and how to solve them. That's why I'm so good at what I do. I'm out here saving marriages. Check this out. So people
Hold on, I
at
want to
low
read that.
understandings happen and how to solve them. That's why I'm so good at what I do. I'm out here saving marriages.
Okay. It says, I wish everyone understood that. It's funny. Let me zoom in for you guys. I wish everyone understood that. It's funny. I've been married 17 years and have 4 boys. I initially started watching your videos to help my sons. As it turns out, you actually helped my marriage. Keep doing what you're doing. That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Love that. Getting comments like that is great. I haven't got any comments like that on this channel, but no, that's dope, man. That's awesome.
Check this out. So people at lower levels have trouble communicating in general, but also people at different levels have trouble communicating with each other. It's
Mm,
like if you've ever talked to a Bitcoin guy, he probably will talk to you like you know everything that he knows about Bitcoin, even though if you did, you wouldn't have to ask. That's like this. I know it, so everyone must know it. That's what it's like for different levels to try to communicate. And the
mm.
higher you go, the less you assume that everyone knows what you know. On top of that, studying the levels can help you spot when this is happening and fix misunderstandings. I drew this little comic to illustrate. This is the guy from an old meme called Scumbag Steve. I don't know if Gen Z has
Oh
Scumbag
man,
Steves, but when I was like 17, we all knew this guy. This
yeah.
is the guy who always causes problems and
This is that white dude that, like, this is gonna sound kind of funny, but where I come from, this is like the white dude that hangs out with all the black dudes, and we just accept him. You know what I mean? We're like, yeah, man, that's my boy Steve. You know, he has some substances, let's say. You know what I mean? I know 18 people that look like that. Yeah, I know a lot of people that look like that. That's funny.
blames it on everyone else.
Classic
So
meme.
I illustrated how that works. Steve goes into someone else's house and starts smoking. The owner doesn't like it. He says, "Don't smoke in here." Scumbag Steve says, "It's cool, man. Don't worry about it." And then the owner says, "No, it's not cool. Put it out." And then Steve gets upset. "Chill, bro. It's just a cigarette." So, in the mind of the owner, the two guys have two different ideas.
Mm,
You want to smoke, but I don't want you to. So when Steve does it anyway, it looks like he's saying, what I want is more important than what you want. So Steve is a bully. But Steve is at a lower level of consciousness, the no one tells me what to do level.
mm.
So Steve does not know that the two guys have two different ideas. When Steve says it's cool, what he means is like, we're not at school, we're not at work, my parents aren't here, we're not going to get in trouble. This is an okay place to smoke. That's his concept of where it's okay to smoke. And the idea of somebody else having a different concept has
Doesn't
never
register.
occurred to
Yeah,
him.
it doesn't register to
So
him.
when the owner says, don't do that, Steve also feels attacked because this is an okay place to smoke, but you're giving me crap anyway. So you're the bully. When I was learning about this in
Mm.
school, they gave me the example of a father who gives money to his two sons, one of them is 10 and one of them is 5, to buy presents for their mother. And the 10-year-old buys her flowers and soaps, mom stuff, but the 5-year-old buys her a toy car because toy cars
To
are
him
cool.
are cool.
The
Yeah.
idea that moms would like mom stuff rather than what is cool has never occurred to the 5-year-old, nor has it ever occurred to Steve.
Mm.
So some people just never grow out of these egotistical levels of thinking. And even if they do, they can slip back into this feeling that things just are a certain way. And so, of course, that example is the difference between level 3 and level 4, which is where most people on Earth are on their best day. That
Damn.
explains a few things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's why people at
Yeah,
level
it
4
does.
go crazy for conformity and following rules. They're showing off. They're saying,
Mm.
look at my ability to agree to and submit to the rules so that we're all doing the same thing and we're not in this constant chaos of nobody knowing what anyone wants.
Mm.
Maybe you understand this drawing a little better now. So think of how big of a difference that is in thinking, and then imagine it happening again and again and again. That's what I'm trying to accomplish here. It's ambitious. I'm going to make a long video explaining each level in detail, but this is just an introduction. It'll be quick. I'll
Okay.
make new illustrations too. Charts take time, okay? So level 1 I used to call survive. I'm now calling it desire because
Okay.
that's what it feels like from the
Yeah,
inside. We all
basic needs, wants, need, want, feel, crave, seek, yearn. Yeah, but also though, I will say, this level right here, this is the level where you're just acting on urges. There's no thought put into your actions where you're just like, dang man, I'm horny. I wonder what old girl's doing. And then you call her up. That's just an immediate like, okay, I feel some type of way. Let's get that fixed. I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat. There's no thought behind it. You're just kind of going through the motions.
feel this all day, every day. It's when you want something. I want a cookie. That girl is pretty. I'm looking for a man in finance, 6'5", blue eyes. Or when you want to get away from something. If you're stuck at this level as an adult, it's bad. You're basically
Very bad.
homeless. Even Amazon tribes connect with each other. So if you were stuck at this level, you would basically just try to get what you want all the time without responding to the wants of others. Level 2 is when you realize, oh, other people also have desire. They want things too.
Mm,
This leads to appease consciousness. You try to give others what they want, so they'll give something back. It's common for groups at this level to try to appease gods or spirits. They feel their own desire and they say, oh, the volcano is angry. Why would I be angry? Not enough virgins. Let's give it one, see if it calms down. They're
mm,
trying to connect with nature by appeasing it. Groups at this level are small and they only interact with people they know because why would I talk to someone if we're not doing things for each other? At
mm-hmm,
level 3, you realize that everyone around you is appeasing each other and trading favors, and you go, uh oh, I could fall behind if I don't figure out how to control this. How can I direct all of this appeasing towards me and put me on top? In the mafia movie Goodfellas, they introduce each other by saying, this is Henry, he's a friend of mine, which means he works under me. He's a friend of ours means he's on our level. That is them communicating how these connections are controlled.
mm,
People stuck at this level commit crime, they litter, they don't put the shopping cart back. That's what makes bad neighborhoods bad. No one follows the rules because life is about me, me, me. And
chaos.
nobody ever thinks about what someone else thinks. They don't do thinking about thinking.
Mm.
That's why people don't put the shopping cart back because there is
Actually,
no such thing.
I had a moment like this the other day. So I was out in Panama City and I was door dashing. Okay. And if you've ever door dashed, then you kind of know how it works. You can go to restaurants, supermarkets, all that stuff. So I was in the supermarket and I had two different orders. I had a whole cart full of stuff and there's only one register open because you're not supposed to go to the self checkout whenever you're doing some orders like very big orders. They want you to go and have a person ring it up. So I was in Aldi and I had the shopping cart full of stuff and I go up to the line scanning my stuff and I finished with the whole first order and then this lady starts putting her stuff on the conveyor belt thing as well and I'm like I have a whole cart full of stuff here. Can you please move your stuff back so I can put my second order on the conveyor belt? And she was like, if you move the buggy, then I'll put my stuff back. And I started to get a little bit angry and a little bit agitated. And then I was like, you know what? I can't even blame her. Like maybe she didn't see the stuff. Maybe she wasn't paying attention. Maybe she was on her phone. Like I don't know. But that to me was that lady displaying like a lower level of just being like, well, I'm here, I'm in line. I'm gonna just put my stuff on the conveyor belt and then go without really looking at your surroundings or understanding what's going on. She wasn't vigilant because it doesn't really take much to see like, hey, this person probably has more stuff. I try to say too, like, hey, I'm door dashing, so people know like I might be a while, but don't take it out on me. I'm just door dashing. Um, and I also think maybe I was showing us a lower level of consciousness as well because I didn't really take the time to think about how this person was thinking. I just kind of reacted and went like in my mind, like this woman is kind of stupid, but I didn't like say it or anything. But I just felt like that. I felt like this woman is dumb. She didn't see my stuff here. Like why are you just putting yourself on the conveyor belt without looking? I know you looked at my stuff. Like I started to make assumptions. Is what I'm saying. So maybe that was a lower level for me as well. So, but I thought about that. Yeah, that is what happens when no one follows the rules. You fall behind when you start trying to follow them, and then you're like, this isn't fair. You see that happen in anime a lot too. You'll have like the main protagonist like grew up a rule follower, and then some tragedy happens, and then they're like, oh, this isn't how the world is at all. And then they kind of go through these levels of consciousness as the story progresses. You see that very well in Attack on Titan. You know, at first, Aaron is just like living his life in the city, having a grand old time. He goes from that to like, yeah, screw everybody over there. We're gonna murder all of them like how they murdered us. I don't know what level of consciousness that is, but I definitely think the levels of consciousness as they go up or down, um, it kind of that's a key part of character development, not only in real life but also in stories that we love so much. Play a little bit more, then we're gonna end it here.
As other people don't want to be. Nobody ever thinks about what someone else thinks. They don't do thinking about thinking. That's why people don't put the shopping cart back, because there is no such thing as other people don't want to be in a dirty parking lot. That just doesn't exist. So it's cool for me to not put it back and then do extra work for no reason. That's why they get mad when you try to make them follow the rules. When people get tired of that, they pick a leader and they write things down. This is the way things are going to be. Not just my way because I have power. This is the way things are. We wrote it down. This
Mm,
is when you start understanding, oh, wait a minute, what I want could hurt others just like they hurt me, and we could fix that if we had rules. If
mm,
this works, they start seeing their way as the one true way. So this way is good and this way is just bad. We can't have different ways. We just fixed that problem. At
mm,
level 4, your social group grows again, so you can be in the same group as people that you don't know. This results in large nations and cities and agriculture. You could never do that at a lower level. If you go back down to winner take all, nothing gets done.
mm,
The move from 3 to 4 is also important, just like the move from 6 to 7. And the whole point of this video is that when level 6 is in power, it prevents people from moving from 3 to 4. We'll come back to that.
mm.
Level
Yeah, that's
4 is
interesting.
very rigid. They resist new ideas, like when Galileo said the Earth is not at the center. The church went, "Oh, that's a different way. You can't have that because
Mm,
we just fixed that problem." Level 5 shows up when people have a stable way of life and they start wanting to improve and advance, which you do with achieving. Today, people at level 5 want cars and houses and money and fame. You know the drill.
mhm,
So at level 3, the world just is the way you see it. And at level 4, you agree on the right way. And at level 5, you go, there's no right way. They're all made up. So not only can you improve it, but also you don't have to fight with people from other ways. That's where you become a citizen of the world. You have whole world consciousness. It starts at level 5.
mm,
So now you can do whatever you want in life. As long as you follow the rules, it's all up to you. You make your own way, and then you succeed or fail based on your achievements. So
mm,
at level 5, people come up with their own way to achieve success. And at level 6, people start thinking, well, what is success? What
mm.
am I getting out of life? What
Yeah.
am I
What is the
giving up for
point?
it? Who
Yeah. What is the point of this? What is the purpose of everything that I'm doing here? I do want to know how when level 6 is in power, it stops people from moving up. That concept doesn't make sense to me, but it does make sense to me. Like once you have a stable life, like each level kind of plays into itself as well. Like once you have level 1 needs met, it makes it easier for you to start thinking at level 2. I think it was Jordan Peterson that talks about this when he said, you know, when you're in danger, your time span of thinking shortens. You're not thinking about next year or 2 years. You're thinking about how are we going to make it to lunch, because your environment has warranted that type of thought process from you to say like, well, hey, look, man, we don't have time to think about next year. If we die today, and your environment has shown you that you can very well die today. So that's why like people in the hood or people in poor areas or people in different areas, you ask them like, what's your 5-year plan? And they're like, 5 years, bro, I'm trying to make it to next week, bro. Like I can't have a 5-year plan if I die tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very interesting concept. Another very good video by Home Math. Very interesting, very thought-provoking. I feel like this is the type of video I have to watch 1 or 2 more times to really understand the concepts in it. But it was a fire video. Guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Also, if there is another video that you guys would like to see me react to, let me know. I will be putting your name right here if I do decide to react to it. Don't forget, the best way to help out the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe, and to watch another one of the videos that is popping up on the screen right now. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.